What's up? This is Robert, and I've been thinking a lot about anxiety today and yesterday because here in the Bay Area, there's these wildfires nearby that are causing a lot of smoke, and it's causing people to get like really anxious to the point there that they're buying these masks to protect themselves from the smoke, and there's just a lot of, alarm raising, okay? Also, what happened today is the townhouse I lived in, we all had our these fire sprinkler inspections today. So the fire professionals came in to take a look at the sprinklers, right? And it made me think about the smoke detectors also, and how sometimes the smoke detectors go off at the wrong time. I mean, really, they're supposed to be fire detectors, right? But the best that our technology can give us is smoke detectors, right? So it's not the best tool, but it's the best that we have. Now, if we think of our anxiety as like a smoke detector, then what is the smoke? What are we trying to detect? Because anxiety is an emotion, right, that's supposed to help us, right? How it's supposed to aid our survival, supposedly, in evolutionary history, right? If we're at the edge of a cliff, we want to feel some anxiety so that we don't walk off the cliff and die. We want to feel anxiety that we might be rejected by the social group, because if we do, then we're going to have to survive on our own, right? Had to pause the video for a second. Okay, I'm back. So what's the deal here? Is the anxiety like helpful for us or not, right? Well, I guess it can aid survival, right? But if it helped us to be, if it aided our social inclusion, right, then you would expect like the most popular socially successful people to be highly anxious, right? And I don't think that's the case. So the whole mechanism and the way it works is just something's off. All right, so here's a question. Well, before we get to that, how is it useful? Okay, anxiety can be useful in this instance. One time I was in Costa Rica with a bunch of college, other people from my college, and we were on a beach. All right, in the water there was this big rock, almost like an island, but it was a rock. And some of the guys wanted to swim out, climb up on top of it, and then jump off into the water. Some of them swam out and did that. Some of them stayed. The ones who stayed, I would say, overall were a little more anxious, right? They're the ones who would say, I don't know about that. Might be a little dangerous. I'm okay here, right? Well, what happened? The guys who swam out, they climbed up the rock, jumped off, and they swam back. And their feet, on the bottoms of their feet, there were all these cuts, because apparently this rock, nobody knew this, but the rock had these special, it was a special specific type of rock that had extremely sharp edges, right? So when the guys climbed up the rock, they got lacerations all over their feet. We had to take them to the emergency room. So there you go, anxiety being useful, right, for the guys who stayed on the beach. Now, if anxiety is useful, then why do we also have it where it's a problem for people? Like it keeps people from public speaking and other things, right? All right, well, let's ask this question. What if, imagine you have like your ideal superhero, okay? You have this person that you're thinking of that's like, that could just go through life so successfully and efficiently, just like a superhero, okay? What would anxiety look like for that superhero? What would that superhero's experience of anxiety be like? Would they even have anxiety? Would it be just non-existent? Like, think about this. There must be some sort of use for it. Clearly, like if you have Batman at the top of a skyscraper about to jump off, like you don't want him to be anxious and say like, that's a long ways down. I think I'll just take the stairs. Like he's got the wings, right? So So what is like, are there situations where you would want Batman to like to not to actually feel anxious and then like maybe back away from the situation? Like you would want him to do that if there's a situation that he could not handle, right? In other words, a situation that where he is vulnerable. And that's the key. That anxiety is more important for us the more vulnerable we are. Or spin that around, the more vulnerable the more vulnerable we are, the more useful it is to be anxious. So if you're gonna go speak in front of a large crowd and maybe you're gonna make a mistake or something, and then for the rest of your life you're going to be like emotionally scarred from this, then yeah, like you probably should have stage fright so much that you don't go on stage and make this idiot move that then ruins the rest of your life, right? Now, is that the should you just live a life of fear? Like, no, but the anxiety, the fact that you have anxiety about that situation suggests that maybe do you have a vulnerability in that situation? That's the question I would ask. Do you have a vulnerability on this topic? If you have a vulnerability, then that's what needs to be addressed. So the anxiety, instead of being an alarm of like survival, like, oh, threat, 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 to me, that's an alarm of like, hey, like, am I vulnerable? Do I need to work on this area? Right? Do I need to strengthen a part of me? Right? Because if it's strong enough, then I can discard the anxiety. I don't need to be anxious. But if I do have a weakness, then yes, I need that anxiety. So the stronger that I get, the less anxiety I need. And you'll actually see this if you study primates, like Franz de Waal, the world famous primatologist. You'll find more anxiety in the lower ranking members of the monkey group. I'm not going to go into that. It's not my specialty, but that's my insight for today. All right, the more vulnerable we are, the more anxiety is useful for us. So if you want to be in a place where you don't really need anxiety to get through life, then strengthen yourself.